Previously on Living Truthfully.
I was doing what I loved, working for an amazing radio station. And I had already made this name, Eddy Kimani, having been in media up to that point.
At what point was rock bottom?
Rock bottom is when I went home and knocked on my family home. My mom opened the door for me and I told her I failed. I need a place to stay. I was 39 years old at the time.
So you're with your mom, and this at this point your marriage is...
It's collapsed.
It's done.
Proper. So we were not talking, we were fighting. I've not spoken to my kids for a very long time, for quite a long period. Sporadically we would speak. I would go to Nairobi and stay with a friend, go see the kids, but not enough to. So it was also another. That's also another page of
pain,
and
a sense of failure.
Yes,
I know it.
Proper failure, my friend. It breaks you.
I want to talk about the story of probably a guardian angel that God sent your way when you were in Ukunda.
Yeah, Ukunda. Ukunda, South Coast.
Good morning, bonjour, buenos noches, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time it is, wherever you are. How are you doing today? Welcome to episode 50 of Living Truthfully. Yes, 50. My goodness. Thank you that you're still listening to Living Truthfully. Thank you that you're still part of this journey. Thank you that you're giving towards part of this journey. I cannot thank you enough for the validation that you give us for what we do here at Living Truthfully. We've started an exciting conversation on decade thinking, and Eddy Kimani has been in studio with us discussing his last decade, because we're drawing our lessons from the last decade and how those affect us into the next decade. And he started on a note that, went just deep into the wins and the losses of the last decade. Now, let me tell you something about me that you probably don't know. I'm a sucker for happy endings. Like Annie, I live for happy endings. I choose movies and TV series, knowing that despite the harrowing experience that's going to be in the plot of things, there's going to be a happy ending, like the good guys have to win. And you know what I love about this story? It's a story of good guys winning. So if you're just catching up with us, here is the reconciliation part of this story. Welcome to part 2.
I'm staying with my mom, 20 that period. I couldn't go home back to my family because we are separated. I had to pick up a gig that I've been involved with for quite a while. That is motorsports. There was a motorsports event which happens every 2 years.
Well, was this after the new election?
Now after, of course, yeah.
So the new election, there's a new governor. So you're a political appointment, so you're no longer
I'm no longer
relevant.
It's all done.
Yeah,
So I get this gig. It takes me to Mombasa. We do the gig. It ends. And then
you don't leave.
I didn't leave, because now where am I going? All the demons inside me just told me, Eddie, go to South Coast. Little did I know that I'm not dealing with my problems. I'm just changing my location. But the problems are the same.
You're relocating your problems.
I'm relocating my problems, exactly. So I end up in Ukunda, get into another gig, it quishes, nothing else comes up, and here I am still battling my demons. My demons, of course, seem to be winning all through this this battle, because I'm in denial. My ego is stroking me well, you know. I'm in this space where I feel like I'm the one who was wronged.
Yeah.
You know, and you know how men, when we are injured, we always feel like we are the ones who deserve or are entitled to be pampered and be taken.
Yeah.
But that's the space I was in then. So I am forced to hide. And the reason why I went to Ukunda is that my head was telling me, you guys don't know you.
Yeah.
This is. So what happens now is a random day I decided to take a walk along Ukunda, the long road before you get into
Diani. Yeah, so the road between Ukunda and Diani.
Because I did that a lot because I would spend a lot of time alone. I didn't have friends there. I did not have friends per se. Yes, we had these friends people we were working with, those who've given you the job, one or two people who know you. They're those we met, because now that was now approaching December of 2017. I get that gig, it comes to an end, and it was actually the Diani Beach Festival, where I somehow just got a part-time gig to help as the event manager. So this day, I happened to be taking a stroll on that road. You know the weather, of course, it's hot. In my shorts, a white t-shirt, and
I know that road very well. My mzee has a kabucheri on that road.
Then you see, you can visualize.
Yeah.
So I see this shop. It looks brand new. I pop in, nice new seats. I sit down to catch some air. I think at the time I had a maximum of 50 bab.
Kenya shillings
in my pocket.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd been paid for my gig. I had to pay where I was staying. And mind you, I'd met a couple of friends who really came through for me at that time, who were privy to what I was going through. And one of them, I still don't know how to thank some of these guys, man. They paid for me a whole month to where I was staying. So I sat down. A guy from the back just taps me. Hi, VP, mambo vipi? Wewe ni ule Eddy wa TV, eh? Yeah.
Umepatikana.
Yeah, I'm thinking, man, what the... Because I'm thinking, man, who'd know me here? I'm not saying that guys maybe would not know, but again, where I was, it was not...
It's a small town.
It's a small town.
You, at least you think less people know me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's say, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So we sit down and talk. He introduces himself as Peter Mwakuona. He's the owner of the bakery. The bakery is merely 5 months old, so it's brand new. Yeah. So he tells me he runs a bigger bakery in the mainland. He also lives in the mainland. So every day he comes to Ukunda, crosses the ferry, comes, opens the shop, fungas the shop,
and he goes back. To Mombasa.
In a weird turn of events, I end up opening up to him. And he was the first person who... this is now in hindsight, that did not judge me, did not criticize me for the decisions that I had made. He did not question me, why am I in Ukunda? Why am I running away from my family? Why am I separated? He did not, he just listened. Little did I know now again in hindsight that that's all I needed, somebody to listen to me. Somebody I could just pour out to. So 3-4 hours later, the guy goes on his knees and he prays for me. You know, I've just met this guy. Here I'm in the midst of my battles with myself. Because again, these battles we have, they're battles with ourselves. When you really think about it, it's with ourselves. And after that, we just started becoming good friends. So, because he was not staying, the bakery was not very far from where I was staying. So, he was my go-to guy, because I did not have a pal. So here I have a new pal who sort of understands me, understands Eddy and what he's going through. So he was the guy I would go help him open the bakery. We sit and talk, and you know how guys from Coastal like sitting and talking. So he was that. He had storos from here up to Nanyuki, just vibing every day. And the amazing thing is that he never criticized me. He never made me feel like I failed. He more or less encouraged me to you know, just see what you can do. Call your, though my demons are telling me don't call. Yeah, he gently and steered me towards those conversations. Once in a while. The other times it will be just normal conversation. Yeah, you see a nice car, you compliment it, you know, Diani for what Diani is, you know. And we became very close. Then that phone call came from my wife, you know, come we'd like you to come to now, when we had not spoken for a very long time, we'd like you to go to attend a school meeting for our firstborn child, son. And she was, because she was traveling for work, and it was a very important meeting, and she saw it fit to call me. Besides everything that we had gone through, and becoming the bigger person, and saying, you know what, we've got these kids, we've got this kid, and we need to take up our responsibilities. At the time, of course, I'm still fighting with my demons, so I share that with Peter, and Peter talks me to actually going. We prayed about it, he prayed about it, and I made up my mind, and I went. And that was the last time I ever stepped into Ukunda.
Wow.
Yeah, because I came back home, went for the meeting, my wife was not there, she had traveled, as I had mentioned, and then it was now the uphill task of trying to reactivate again my role as a father, because remember, I'd been away for such a long time, and it was not easy, because you're trying to explain things to that a 12-year-old and a 4-year-old, So the journey began, reconciliation, getting back together. I waited for her to come, started the journey of trying to patch things up. It was not easy. It was not simple. She had to fight for what she was fighting for, which I totally respect. And we just worked on it.
I think, bro, first, thanks for sharing, Bana. That your story is so deep, and it's amazing. I think for me, the biggest story here is actually the reconciliation story. I think that's a story that hasn't had enough attention. It's a unicorn story, It's I'm sure there are several people who go through reconciliation, but we don't hear those stories.
But let me just say something. My story is not unique. It's not. It's just that it has been compounded by the fact that Eddy was this media personality. Otherwise, if I was just I didn't have this position of being in the public eye or public domain, it'd have been one of them. It's just that it has been compounded by that. So it just augurs well for me to acknowledge that these are everyday stories. They are there.
I agree. Yeah. And I think the stories of the pain, the suffering, the separation, the health failure, the bad decisions, those are everyday stories that I acknowledge. I mean, they happen to the best of us and to the worst of us.
True.
However, the reconciliation story, bro, that's not a common story.
It's not common, and it's not easy.
It's not a common story, and I think that for me, that's the unicorn part of this story, because you went back home and you have reconciled your family. I think, bro, in terms of all the things you've ever done, that's your highest accomplishment.
Thank you.
Tell me that story. Tell me that reconciliation story.
Maybe just to bring it closer to home, it is still a reconciliation. And unfortunately, in a process of reconciliation, it's very hard to say there's a cut of time when you say, sasa tumeacha kureconcile, tuko sawa.
I think it's going to be a reconciliation story for a while.
Yes. What it has now become is managing that process. Making our arguments and our differences better, in the sense that let's do this as we build up this relationship, normalizing things that we never liked talking about, especially our marriage, normalizing that conversation. Because prior to that, we had our own I didn't say it was a bliss when I got married. We also had the usual teething problems. But of course, this was again compounded by the fact that things that I did, the infidelity, abandoning and
the family,
the kids,
the finances.
So arguments now, at times they're just arguments. We find ourselves now dealing with new and different problems. But deep down, we know we are deliberately working at making this marriage work.
What have you learnt about Eddy through the reconciliation process?
That humility is a very big ingredient to dealing with matters ego. Eddy now understands humility. Humility maybe was a vocab that I never even had in my... Yeah, and I think sometimes people who get thrown or catapulted into the public eye, you sometimes develop this tendency to believe you are... You need to be treated in a particular way, that you're entitled.
You're self-important.
You're self-important.
And entitled, yes.
You know those situations where you walk into a room and you're wondering, how come these people don't know I'm here?
Yeah.
You know, how come these guys don't understand that this is Eddy Kimani?
You're so the right person for this conversation. It's true. I know it. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So when Maisha nyoroshas you and you're not blind to the fact that there's more to life than yourself, that humility and being self-compassionate is very important. You get to understand and have a clearer meaning of what life is all about. So that's where it threw me in. That's the Eddy I discovered later on. And it's just unfortunate we discover these things in hindsight. But now again, I'm embracing this whole aspect of hindsightness. In life, it's important you hit rock bottom for you to emerge different. What matters is your mindset. How are you prepared to pick yourself up again and deal with that you did, which is the hurt? Because I hurt people. I hurt my family. I hurt my wife. I hurt myself. You know, I hurt people who really had so much hope in me. My family, my brothers and sisters. But again, please remember my support system. So it's not that they will support you. They will also still get hurt because they want to help you. But again, you don't want to be helped. So I discovered a lot about Eddy Kimani that I had packed and put in a casket somewhere in that period of my highs. So in hindsight, I say, what if I knew these things I know now? What if I knew them then? But since it's now, I think I'll just embrace them and make myself a better man with the lessons that I have learned. Because if I do not make any effort to embrace the lessons that I learned, then what is the reason for living? What's the reason for loving your family?
You're right, bro. And I think for me, that's the reason this conversation is so important. Because you get to crystallize. You know, you get to crystallize those things that you learn from the experiences that you've had, and by crystallizing those things, then you're able to use them really, you know, into everyday life. And
you have to be ready to be deliberate about using them, because we pick lessons every day in life, but so we choose the wrong ones, or sometimes we don't purpose. We're not purposeful enough to use those. And then again. Amani, a lot of these lessons that I learned, the reason why we are even seated here right now, I would have been so selfish if I did not accept to do this. And for why I say this is because a lot of people are asking me, why are you sharing your story? Why are you telling people about your stories? Initially, when I started this conversation, telling my story, a lot of people criticized me that I shouldn't
air your dirty laundry in public.
In public. But if that dirty laundry is going to help me help somebody else learn from my mistakes, then I'm grateful. But I will be so selfish if I don't do it. And there's nothing bad as
I agree completely.
Holding back in what you know could help somebody else.
I agree completely, and I really applaud you for I think just starting, because you paved the way even for me, you know, to be able to share my story and to in a sense out myself because you were bold and you did it, you know.
True.
And I really applaud you for it. We're in the turn of a new century. Mm-hmm. And I think having looked back into 2020, and
I even just love the number in 2020.
You know, you talked about hindsight, eh?
Yes.
You know what they say about hindsight?
Mm-hmm.
It's 2020 vision.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Hindsight is perfect vision. It's
True.
2020 vision. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's very prophetic about the time that we're in.
So many ways.
Because 2020 is a good time for us to have hindsight and look at those things, mm-hmm. but also project, you know, into the next decade. Because you have clarity. You know, mm-hmm. that's what perfect vision is clarity. Mm-hmm. And for me, you know, you and I are in similar space now because we're speaking to men. We're speaking about men. We're mm-hmm. speaking about mental health and the spaces that, you know, we got into because we both got into a dark place, you know, in the last decade. And we've sort of picked ourselves out of it and, you know, in our healing journey and we're talking about it. The thing that I've picked from my last decade is that a lot of those things that happened to me, I was not being intentional. I sort of coasted through life. So I coasted through the success and I coasted through the failures. You know, like I was not really making super intentional decisions. And I think I probably started making those decisions at the pit of failure. You know, just like you did when you went back to your mom's home. And that's a, you know, intentional decision that you make. Most of the success stories we were riding a wave, you know. And even when the failure is happening, it's still like a wave going down. You're not being intentional about life, eh?
True.
But now we know better. And so for me, bro, I think the question I'm asking, you know, my friends now is having understood where you've come from, having understood the last decade that has been probably the most significant yet of our lives, and having understood the, you know, the things that we know about ourselves from the success, you know, the boldness, the confidence, the courage that, and from our failures, what are you going to do intentionally going forward for the next decade?
And now a word from our sponsors.
As a dad, the greatest gift I can give my family is security around their health. Do you know how the first time you have a child and all of a sudden there are medical expenses that come up that you never knew existed? Well, Minette has a great cover that caters for your young family. This cover is comprehensive and has features such as inpatient limits of up to 10 million shillings. It will take care of premature births, any complications during, after birth, or for both mom and child. For people who don't like the delivery room like me, this is such a sigh of relief because you know at least the finances are taken care of. It even takes care of you when you accompany your child of up to 10 years to the hospital as a caregiver. And that's just the inpatient cover. Outpatient caters for dental, optical, gynecological, urologists, and mental health services and is up to 2 to 3 times higher than other covers in the market. I highly recommend Minette Health, and it can be accessed online. They have made this purchasing process easier by creating a portal where any user can access their services directly from the website. To learn more about this cover, visit their Facebook page, Minette Kenya, or their website, collaborationkenya.minette.com. Buy your family a secure health future with Minette. What are you going to do intentionally going forward for the next decade?
Wow. Many things. I mean, intention, I guess, is one of those elements that are very important when it comes to being a better person. I think the best thing I'll do for myself is keep on learning. Open my mind to more learning. Pick up the lessons that I've, gotten through my journey to make me a better person. I mean, we all have plans for your next 10 years, your next 5 years. You even have a plan for the next 3 or 5 hours. But I always would want to look at it as a continuous process. I might not be able to quantify exactly, because again, they say we are the students of the world, and the world is one of our biggest learning spaces. Yeah, so I'm trying to answer you in the best way possible.
Let me help. Maybe direct, not help, but direct on just a very specific area. And because I feel like you really could be a champion in a conversation here. Your reconciliation journey, if you had your way, what would you like it to look like in the next 10 years? If you had your way, what are your hopes and dreams for your marriage?
I would want to see it flourish naturally.
What does flourish look like?
Flourish looks like understanding each other more, better, embracing each other's shortcomings, because again, you're two people brought together by, of course, in that union. Love better, be a better man for this marriage. Understand our limitations when it comes to, because where two people are involved, be it business or relationships, marriage in this case, we all have our expectations of what we want from this other person, and sometimes it can get or border to the point of selfishness. You expect this, and I would want to have the ability to understand that and be able to provide what the other person is expecting from me without breaking my back. Because sometimes we do things or tend to do things just to please the other person, and you might end up hurting yourself.
Killing yourself. Right?
Yeah, And marriage is one of those institutions that nobody gets into it with a manual. And as much as you'll get advice from the counselors, from the marriage counselors, from, the priests, the pastors in church, of how they can guide you, of all the initiatives about marriage, it boils down to the two of you and what you want to get out of it. I want to get happiness. I want to get that companionship that is non-judgmental, make it solid, in the sense that we know we're in this for the long haul. Unfortunately, we are now living in a world that is so dynamic in very many ways, and I feel that is also affecting a lot of marriages in various ways. And maybe just to break that down a little bit, I guess we're exposed to so much going on outside our marriages. This marriage is collapsing. This one is so and so did this, and they happen to be your friend, the friends around you, and you start questioning yourself, how much of this that is happening outside will I let it affect what? So I would want to be stronger in dealing in a space like that.
As you're speaking, I'm thinking, your husband 2.0, you're in your marriage, so you there's the guy who walked down the aisle, got married, said the vows, and ate kulad pilau, that's 1.0.
That's 1.0.
And then you go through these experiences, and about 2 years ago, you go back home and you start working on this marriage, and you're now husband 2.0. In the same marriage,
The money and your words.
No, it's true. It's like a new version of you in the same marriage.
True. Okay, looking at it that way, yes.
And so
and we're never the same when we come back from this these seasons that we go through. And if you haven't come back different, then that means
you didn't learn from the first time.
You didn't learn from or you didn't iron didn't sharpen iron. Nothing changed, because you'll come back. And those are some of the stumbling blocks that can be there when you're trying to reconcile. And if you're not aware you changed, then it becomes even harder to try and reconcile.
And I'm thinking about husband 2.0, and I'm wondering, what does that look like? What's the improved version of Eddy? Of Eddy as a husband, and even possibly Eddy as a father. because you are actually husband 2.0 stroke
father
dad 2.0.
Father and husband 2.0.
Yeah. So what are the things? Because I feel like that's what you're getting into. What you're taking into this new decade. You're taking a certain self-awareness into this decade.
Of course, now I'm more intentional.
Yeah.
Being a father and of course being a husband, I'm more purposed in what I'm putting into the marriage, and of course the role as a father. The first thing I did after the video for Engage, which started this whole journey for me, it to be in this space right now where I'm looking at engaging men and their well-being and mental health. The Engage video, the first person I shared it with was my son, my firstborn son. We went into a room because remember he was in that space where he was aware of what was going on. Dad was not there, and I used the video to help him understand what happened.
How old was he when you watched the video?
He was 13.
Wow.
No, 12.
12. That's such a powerful conversation as a father-son.
No, actually, I'm wrong. 15. Sorry, my bad. 15.
Wow.
So he was in the space where he would understand what was going on. So for me, that was the initial thing I thought I should do, because
what was that moment like?
It was difficult, I can tell you for a fact, because he was understanding what is going on. He's not a kid anymore, so I can't play around with his emotions. Yeah, of course, after that, explain to him, this is what happened, and I want you to forgive me. Yeah, so we did that, and it helped a lot in now mending.
You asked your son for forgiveness?
Yes, I had to.
Dude, that's not something you say in passing.
It was difficult. It was difficult, but I had to, because I would be denying him the opportunity to understand that I know I made a mistake. And one thing I've promised myself is that I'll help my sons to understand it's okay to fail. We're not teaching them that. I would like them to understand it's okay to fail, it's okay to fall and stand up again. It's okay to break. It's okay to not pass. But that should be now the impetus to help you improve and become better. If I was going to give them anything that was important in their life right now, it's for them to start learning that right now, even if I fail, it's okay, I'll try again. I'll keep on trying. And I'm taking that lesson from that journey I went through to now letting them see that. And the closest I would have started doing that was from my home with my 2 boys.
Dude, that's so profound, eh? That's Dad 2.0.
Yes.
That's Dad 2.0, just,
That it even helps me understand now Dad 2.0, because I never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
I just knew I'm not the same person that I was before that dark season, before my Damascus moment with Peter Mwakuona. I was difficult, because a lot even this interaction with him helped me understand. We were not just talking about mundane stuff. It was about life also, and he also helped me to understand some of the things that I was going through and how to deal with them.
How are your children now?
Fantastic. Our firstborn turned 16 this year, and then the secondborn is turning 8.
How's the relationship with them?
Good. Boys will be boys. It's tough. We are just journeying on. It's not. It's humbling to seeing them grow, and the thought that I was not going to be there. It humbles you, and I'm enjoying the process, because it's a process at the end of it. At the end of it all.
As a wife,
we're good. She's good. We're well. We are well. And again, as I said, if you don't look at it as a journey or as a process, you will not understand even how to deal with whatever you're going through, because we still have our issues. We still have our days when I do something that will rub off badly, vice versa, and the normal fights you'll have them. But now, of course, comparing to where we were, picking up those learnings and utilizing them now in straightening up our marriage is the biggest part of the process. Yeah, you know, because a lot of times you see yourself going back to that space where you don't want to ever go back to that happening. Yeah.
Bro, I can't thank you enough for sharing the story.
Karibu.
And I can't thank you enough for just being completely vulnerable with the world, you know, like you have been. And that's something I understand because I'm in that journey as well.
True.
What's your message to men this year? What's your message to, you know, guys listening, whatever they're at and, you know, whatever circumstances they're facing in your current season? What if you had 1,000 men sitting here today and they told you, give us a parting shot, what would it be?
We are living in very interesting times as men. There's talk of the boy child being neglected. There's a talk of the girl child being empowered, and it's true. She's been empowered, she's free, she's confident, she's taking on the world. So in a space where as men, we need to not let this proverbial toxic masculinity define us anymore. We need to be now in a space where we embrace our vulnerabilities, being able to be open with each other, being able to be deliberate brother's keeper, because we have ourselves to work with, man to man. We need to be men who would be okay showing and sharing our emotions, because I think unfortunately we've been brought up in a system or through a system that has hammered into our mindset that men are not supposed to share their emotions. And I think that's one of the biggest failings that we have. We don't talk. We don't share our stories. And the easiest way of doing it is just to stand up, go to that pal that you have in the office, share a story, talk with them. Number 2, men, we are considered leaders. I feel it's time that we have more leaders, men, to stand up and talk about their shortcomings, about their challenges with either depression or anxiety. We have this tendency to put men in a very high pedestal. And if a fellow man sees a fellow man who he considers to be elevated than him, talking about his weaknesses, embracing his weaknesses and sharing and saying, you know what,
and owning them,
then we'll have some change. Because right now mental health amongst men is at the lowest it has ever been, in terms of how our well-being, how we're handling our well-being. I mean, I can't keep on focusing about my physical fitness and I'm not taking care of my mental fitness. You know, so the conversation should go towards seeing men taking up a role in being vulnerable amongst each other. I know we don't have many support systems. And unfortunately, again, our coping systems are a bit to the extreme sometimes. That's why you're seeing men doing the things they're doing, jumping off buildings, hanging themselves, taking their own lives in the most extreme way possible. The other day, another guy was trying to take his own life. I don't know what the situation was in town, but fortunately the string or whatever cable he was using cut off while he was trying to kill himself on Kimathi Street. So we've been pushed to an extreme where we do not know how to deal with these things we are bottling up. We are not talking. And you'll find the only way out of it, unfortunately, what men who've taken their own lives are doing is that they feel they're caged in a box. When you're depressed, you feel like you're in a box and you need to get out. But you don't want to show your vulnerability. You don't want to go to your pal and say, you know what, a guy, maze sikuzuri. You don't want to show your other, maybe your closest pal, the squad, that you're weak. Can you believe some reports say that some men are more comfortable going to see or to have the prostate cancer checked than going to a psychiatrist?
And you'd rather have a finger in your behind
than going to see a psychiatrist,
yeah.
or even telling your boys, hey, you guys, I've gone to see Dr. Jenga. Yeah.
Things that
either you'll be ridiculed, either you'll be belittled, either so we're also not helping ourselves, you know. And the stigma is crazy, more so in the workplaces. And one of the biggest inputs that I would like to have in these next 10 years. And now answering you that question about now what I would like to do about it. I'd like to do that, have more conversations, have more training and awareness for mental health in the workplace for men. I've already started doing that. I did a lot of that last year. And you're doing a
good job.
Yeah, thank you. But it's not without the support of very many people. I've started a new initiative called the Brother Man Shave and Talk initiative.
Just so that this morning.
It actually started off yesterday.
Yeah.
The plan is to have to use barbershops as safe and trusted spaces where we can have our conversations.
Such a good idea.
Yeah, it will be two-pronged. Our plan is to train barbers to become mental health champions.
That is genius, bro.
We do not. Okay, again, I will not take away this. It's happening. It's happening around the world.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we are in a setting here in Africa where we are not. We rarely have spaces where we can talk. And I feel if you can trust your barber, how long have you used the same barber?
Let me tell you, that's so funny because Benja.
It's called Benja.
It's called Benja. Benja has shaved me for 15 years.
15 years. Can I tell you for a fact, money on it, he knows a lot more about you than maybe your closest friends.
Benja is my longest relationship. He survived my marriage.
And he knows about it.
Yes, he knows about it.
So imagine
that's so clever, bro.
Positioning that conversation from a mental point of view. Having a barber who has been trained how to identify signs of somebody who's
depressed.
He's been trained how to talk to somebody who needs somebody to talk to. He's been trained not to be judgmental. Remember, we're not making these vinyoses or barbers. We're not making Benja a psychologist.
Yeah.
We're not making Benja a counselor. We're just making him a mental health champion. He will be empowered to sit with that guy he knows very well. He hears because he will be able to understand or pick up if there's a problem. And then he will also be trained how to direct you as a man, his client, to the right place. Bro,
I want in on this one.
It's on.
I want in. No. I want inside. Inside. I want to come in, figure out what value I can add.
True.
And bring
the more the merrier.
And bring some of the partners that we have that we're getting on board, like for the podcast, into something like that.
True. And it's part and parcel of a wider and a longer plan in terms of collaborations. Like for example, we are planning to have sessions where we do a barbershop setup, and have a baraza. As you come in, you get a haircut, but we have speakers coming in, even have a setup where you can record your podcast there, and just target these conversations, because they're going to be honest and authentic conversations. And in that space, barbershops, when you get there, it's stories of football, story of siasa, which is well and good. That's what barbershops are actually there for. Traditionally, it's a meeting point. That's where your guards are down. You go there uninhibited. You do not hide anything. A guy seated next to you is being shaved. You'll talk about yesterday's match. Imagine now a barber just guiding you through a conversation that will help you to just open up and get the help that you need.
I can't even think of a better way to end this, because what I think you have found is purpose.
That's my next 10-year plan.
I think you found purpose, and I think for me, Eddie, I'm proud of you.
Santi,
proud of you, bro, and I'm excited at the journey that you're going through, and I'm excited about where you're going. And bro, just know I'm gonna be right there beside you.
Asante.
Walking this
journey
so much,
with you. Man. And thank you for the opportunity, man. I'm salivating for such opportunities, because if we do not talk, if we do not, and I'm encouraging my fellow men, talking does not mean you have to be seated in a studio like I am right now to talk. Even that guy next to you in the office, just
Have a
conversation and be authentic about it. Because women, again, we don't know how to be authentic. Women they're blessed. Their intention, authentic conversations amongst themselves is what makes them thrive. And they're stronger together like that. Wanaume, it's competing. What are you driving? What are you that thing of that competitiveness. And again, it's not, I will not blame us. It's just our upbringing and the society we are in, but it can be changed. And anybody going through a mental health problem, there is a solution.
Reach out to me at Amani Maranga on social media. If you're going through a challenge, just reach out to me. We can find ways to get you through. Or reach out to Eddy. What are your social media handles?
Facebook, it's straight up Eddy Kimani. Eddy with a Y, E-D-D-Y. Twitter is at Eddy Kimani, same as Instagram. On Facebook, the page is up and running. Brother Man Shave and Talk Initiative.
All right, check that out.
We would like to collaborate with as many barbershops as possible, because it's really,
I'm gonna be talking to Benja about that today. I'll talk to him about it.
We'll be walking into barbershops and doing these talks. We want to change this idea of asking men to come to us. If we've been blessed with that, like what you're doing right now, you're going to your listeners. If I get that opportunity to go to them, I'm happier going to them and talking to them. And the barbershops for right now is what we are targeting.
God bless you, man.
Asante. Thank you very much.
God bless your marriage.
Asante.
God bless your parenting.
Asante.
And bro, you're welcome anytime. Welcome back to Living Truthfully as many times as you want.
Thank you.
Listen, guys, 2020, this is the year of purpose. This is a year when you sort of just look back and you have hindsight, which is vision 2020, or 2020 vision, but then you use that clarity to push you forward. And I pray for each and every one of us gets the opportunity to draw the learnings, just like Eddy and I have today, of our last decade, and push ourselves forward. Use that to propel us into the next one. God bless you. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Asante.